the human ship entered the alien capital system alone. It was small compared to the massive war fleets that surrounded the star. Thousands of alien vessels floated in perfect formation, their metal hulls shining like blades under the white light of the sun. They did not move to attack. They had been ordered to wait. Inside the human ship, Elias Carter stood silently on the bridge. He was not a general. He was not a politician. He wore a simple dark uniform with no medals, no decorations. Only a small Earth symbol rested on his chest.
The ship was badly damaged. Its engines hummed unevenly, and several systems were being held together by temporary repairs.
Any alien scanner could see it was barely spaceworthy. That was intentional. An alien escort vessel approached and locked onto the human ship with a tractor beam. Elias did not resist. He clasped his hands behind his back and stared forward as the stars stretched and twisted. Moments later, the ship was pulled into the heart of the alien capital station. The doors of the throne chamber opened with a deep echo. The room was vast, larger than any human stadium. Tall crystal pillars rose from the floor to the ceiling, glowing with soft blue light. Alien nobles lined the sides of the chamber, their forms tall, elegant, and terrifyingly calm. Some had 4 arms. Others had long crests along their heads, and some wore living armor that pulsed slowly, as if breathing. At the far end of the chamber sat the alien queen. She was massive, seated upon a throne grown from dark crystal and metal. Her eyes burned gold, ancient and sharp. Her presence alone made the air feel heavier, as if gravity bent toward her will. Elias walked forward alone. Each step echoed. Alien guards followed him with weapons ready, their eyes filled with open contempt. To them, he was already a dead man. He stopped at the marked point on the floor and looked up at the queen without bowing. A ripple of anger passed through the chamber. The queen studied him carefully. "So," she said, her voice smooth and powerful, carried by unseen forces, "this is what remains of humanity." Elias did not answer. She leaned forward slightly. "Your species once filled dozens of systems. You resisted longer than expected."
But now, your fleets are shattered. Your colonies burn.
"Your homeworld is surrounded." She raised one long clawed hand, and a projection appeared in the air. Images of destroyed human cities rotated slowly. Ruined towers, silent oceans filled with wreckage. Broken orbital stations drifting in space.
"You have lost," the queen continued.
"The galaxy has seen it." Elias glanced at the images, then back to her face. His expression did not change. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens hissed softly. Others clicked their mandibles in irritation. The queen's eyes narrowed. "I summoned you here," she said, "because I am merciful." That word caused several alien nobles to straighten proudly. "This is your last chance," the queen said. "Surrender, Earth. Dissolve your governments. Place your people under my empire's protection and rule. Those who obey will live. Those who resist will be erased." The images changed. Now they showed Earth, blue, scarred, but still alive. Elias remained silent. The queen's voice grew colder. "You have one planetary cycle to accept. If you refuse, my fleets will reduce your world to ash." A long pause followed. Alien advisors leaned toward one another, whispering. They expected fear. They expected pleading. Humans were known for emotion, for weakness. Instead, Elias lifted his eyes again. "You are very certain?" he said calmly. The queen smiled, a slow expression that revealed sharp teeth. "Certainly is the reward of victory." Elias nodded slightly, as if considering her words. "You believe we are finished because we are losing." The queen laughed softly.
"You are losing because you are finished.
Another pause. Elias took a slow breath.
May I speak freely? The Queen gestured with mild amusement. You may speak.
Your words will not change your fate. Elias's voice remained steady. You studied our weapons.
Our ships. Our strategies.
Yes, the Queen said. And they failed. You studied how we fight, Elias continued.
But you did not study why. A few alien nobles shifted uncomfortably. The Queen tilted her head. Explain. Humans do not fight to conquer the galaxy, Elias said. We fight to protect our homes, our families, our right to choose.
The Queen waved her hand dismissively. Every species claims this. Elias nodded.
Yes, but most of them stop fighting when the cost becomes too high. Silence spread across the chamber.
Elias looked around at the gathered aliens. Humans are different.
When the cost becomes unbearable, we adapt, we change, we endure. The Queen leaned back, unimpressed. You endure extinction? Elias met her gaze. We endure long enough to surprise our enemies. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. The Queen's advisors hissed angrily. This human speaks insolence. The Queen raised her hand, silencing them. Her eyes remained locked on Elias. Bold words from a species on the edge of annihilation. Elias did not deny it. We are bleeding, he said. We are tired. We are afraid. That admission caused some aliens to relax. But we are not helpless, Elias added. The Queen rose slowly from her throne. Her height dwarfed him. You stand before the ruler of this galaxy and dare to imply defiance?
I stand before someone who believes power is permanent, Elias replied quietly.
Gasps echoed through the chamber. The Queen's eyes flared. Careful, human. Elias inclined his head slightly. Forgive me, I speak only truth as my people understand it. She studied him for a long moment. Then she turned away and faced the chamber. Observe, she said to her court. This is why humanity failed. Pride without strength. She turned back. Return to your ship. Inform your leaders of my offer. When the cycle ends, I will have my answer. Elias bowed his head, not in submission, but in acknowledgement.
You will?
Asgards moved forward to escort him away.
Elias spoke once more. Your Majesty. She paused.
You asked what remains of humanity, he said. What remains is choice. The Queen did not respond. Elias was escorted out of the throne chamber and back to his damaged ship. As the doors closed behind him, alien voices erupted in discussion. Many were confident. Some were uneasy. The human ship was released and pushed back into open space. As soon as it cleared the station's scanners, Elias moved quickly to the communication console. His hands shook slightly now, a calm finally breaking. He activated a secure channel. This is Carter, he said. The ultimatum has been delivered. A voice responded instantly.
Understood.
Elias swallowed.
Initiate contingency protocol.
There was a brief pause. Then, protocol acknowledged. Across the void, hidden deep within the debris of lost battles, silent human systems awakened. Old satellites powered up. Forgotten code began running. Damaged ships adjusted internal systems their builders had never fully understood. Humanity had learned something in defeat. They had learned how to survive being underestimated. Elias leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes for a moment. The Queen believed this was humanity's last chance. She was wrong. The alien capital continued its endless motion, calm and confident, unaware of what had just begun. From her throne chamber, the Queen watched the stars through a wide crystal window. The human envoy's ship was already a distant spark, insignificant against the size of her empire. To her, the meeting was finished. Humans had been broken. Their resistance was a habit that would soon end. Behind her, advisors gathered in quiet groups.
The human showed no fear, one advisor said cautiously. Fear is not the same as strength, another replied.
They have neither. The queen did not turn. Fear fades when extinction becomes familiar, she said.
They are cornered animals.
Yes, your majesty, the advisors answered. Far from the capital, deep in space filled with wreckage, old human machines came to life. In the shadow of a shattered moon, a drifting human satellite rotated for the first time in years. Its outer shell was cracked, its solar panels damaged, but its core still worked. A weak signal reached it, encoded in a pattern no alien system had ever bothered to study. The satellite responded. Inside its memory, data long ignored began to unfold. Records of defeats, battle losses, tactical failures, each one tagged, analyzed, and connected. This was not new. Humans had been doing this since the war began. On a hidden asteroid base, powered by reactors scavenged from destroyed ships, Commander Aisha Rahman stood before a large, flickering display. She looked exhausted. Dark circles rested under her eyes. Her uniform was patched, burned, repaired again and again. Around her, engineers and soldiers moved with quiet urgency.
The signal reached all remaining nodes, an officer reported. Phase 1 is active.
Aisha nodded.
How many assets responded?
More than we expected, the officer said. Some of the oldest systems are still alive. Aisha allowed herself a small breath of relief.
Good. We will need every one of them. The human fleet no longer existed as a single force.
It was scattered, broken. But that had been part of the plan. Early in the war, humans had learned a painful lesson. Large fleets were easy to track, easy to destroy. The aliens were superior in open combat. So humans changed. They stopped fighting the way the galaxy expected. On another world, far from any major star lane, a group of human civilians lived inside underground shelters. The surface above them was glassed and dead, but below, life continued. Children studied. Engineers built. Scientists tested strange ideas born from desperation. One scientist, an older man named Dr. Levin, watched a small reactor hum steadily.
It still shouldn't work,
he muttered. A younger engineer smiled weakly.
But it does.
Dr. Levin nodded.
That's humanity. They were not creating beautiful technology. They were creating stubborn technology.
Technology that refused to stop. Back at the alien capital, the Queen addressed her war council.
The human response will be emotional, she said. Some may attempt symbolic resistance.
Others will surrender early. A tall general stepped forward. Our fleets remain positioned around Earth.
No movement has been detected. The Queen's lips curved in satisfaction. They are buying time to argue among themselves. She did not know that time was exactly what humans needed. Elias Carter sat alone aboard his ship, now hidden among debris fields near a dead star. The ship's lights were dimmed. Most systems were offline. To alien sensors, it looked like wreckage. Elias stared at a small screen showing nothing but scrolling data. Memories pressed into his mind. Earth burning. Colonies falling silent. Friends who never made it back. He clenched his jaw. A message flashed on the screen. Protocol Phase 2 ready. Elias exhaled slowly.
Proceed. Across multiple systems, human code activated dormant functions buried deep inside standard equipment. Engines recalibrated themselves.
Power flows shifted. Weapon systems unlocked settings that had been labeled unsafe during peacetime. Humans had always pushed machines beyond their limits. Aliens built for perfection. Humans built for survival. On an alien patrol ship near Earth, sensors briefly spiked. Anomaly detected. An alien technician reported.
Source? The captain asked. Unknown.
Possibly debris. Ignore it, the captain said. Human systems are finished. The anomaly faded. What the alien did not realize was that a human probe had just mapped their shield frequencies in detail. On the asteroid base, Commander Aisha watched as data streamed in from dozens of hidden sources. They really never changed their shields, she said quietly. An officer frowned. They didn't need to. Aisha nodded. Neither did we, until now. We don't beat them by force, we beat them by understanding. That had always been humanity's strength, not strength of body, not size, but learning faster than anyone else. On Earth, surrounded by alien fleets, the planet remained silent. Cities were dark. Oceans calm. No signals were sent. No missiles fired. The Queen observed this with approval.
They are already submitting? She said.
Her advisor hesitated. Oh, preparing. The Queen's eyes hardened.
Preparing for what? They have nothing left. Elsewhere, human scientists tested simulations using alien battle recordings.
Every defeat became a lesson. Every lost ship became a data source. Humans did not mourn during war. They archived grief and turned it into progress. A young analyst pointed at a projection. Their command ships rely too heavily on centralized control. Because it always worked, another replied.
Until someone breaks it, the analyst said. Elias received another message.
Payaffiable. He stood and walked to the small viewport. Stars drifted silently. This is for everyone you underestimated, he whispered. At the alien capital, the Queen met with representatives of allied species. Many had already pledged loyalty, fearful of humanity's fate. Observe the result of resistance, the Queen told them, and understand the mercy of obedience. Some species watched Earth's image with pity, others with fear, none with hope. Back in deep space, human ships, long thought destroyed, powered up, one by one. Their hulls were scarred, their weapons outdated, but inside, they were different ships now. They were no longer built to win fair battles. They were built to disrupt, to confuse, to endure longer than expected. Commander Aisha received confirmation.
All phases ready, the officer said. We can begin whenever command authorizes.
Aisha looked at the screen showing Earth.
Wait, she said. Why? The officer asked.
Because the Queen expects panic, Aisha replied. Let her enjoy it a little longer. On the alien throne world, the Queen prepared her final address. She planned to announce humanity's surrender before the cycle ended. It would strengthen her image, crush remaining resistance across the galaxy. She felt certain. Certainly was comfortable. Far away, Yalius Carter closed his eyes and allowed himself one small smile. Humans had lost worlds. They had lost fleets, but they had gained something far more dangerous. Patience. And when the cycle ended, the galaxy would learn the cost of mistaking silence for weakness. The final planetary cycle began with silence. From the alien capital, it looked like surrender. Earth remained dark. No fleets moved, no signals were sent. The Queen sat on her throne, calm and assured, as reports confirmed the same thing again and again. No hostile activity detected. No fleet movement. No communication from Earth. The Queen listened and felt satisfaction settle deeper into her bones. The galaxy worked as it always had. Power decided fate. She rose and addressed her council. When the cycle ends, she said, we will announce humanity's submission. Their species will serve as an example for all others who dream of defiance. The council bowed in agreement. Far away, hidden within drifting metal and dead ships, humans waited. Commander Aisha Rahan stood in the command chamber of the asteroid base. The room was quiet now. Too quiet. Every station was manned. Every screen glowed softly with data streams and countdowns.
How much time? She asked. 6 hours until the cycle ends, an officer replied.
Aisha nodded. Bring Elias online. A moment later, Elias Carter's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired, older than before, but his eyes were sharp.
They're confident, he said before she could speak. They always are, Aisha replied.
Everything is ready, Elias leaned forward. No unnecessary damage.
I know, Aisha said. We show them who we are, not what they fear. He gave a small nod. Then let's answer the Queen. As the final hours passed, something subtle changed across alien-controlled space. Sensors flickered. Communication delays appeared. Minor at first. Alien technicians blamed routine interference. Stellar noise. Old equipment. No alarms were raised. Then, without warning, the human response began. It did not start with explosions. It started with silence spreading outward. At the edge of Earth's blockade, an alien cruiser lost contact with command for exactly 3 seconds. Then communication returned, slightly distorted. The captain frowned.
Run diagnostics. Before the report finished, another ship dropped from the network, then another.
Across the fleet, ships remained functional, but coordination weakened. Orders arrived late. Targeting data felt wrong, just enough to be uncomfortable. On the Queen's flagship, an advisor stepped forward.
Minor disruptions detected in outer fleets. Meaningless, the Queen replied.
Human systems are incapable of affecting our networks, the advisor hesitated. The pattern is unfamiliar. The Queen's eyes narrowed. Explain. They are not attacking our systems directly, the advisor said. They are forcing our systems to attack themselves. In deep space, human probes released waves of adaptive code learned from years of defeat. The code did not break. Alien technology, it confused it, made it doubt its own data. Alien systems had been built to be perfect. They had never learned how to be wrong. Near Earth, an alien battleship fired a warning shot at a drifting object that should not have been there. The shot missed. The object vanished from sensors.
What was that? The captain demanded. No record, the technician replied, shaken.
It wasn't real.
But it was. Human ships used old drives in new ways, bending movement just enough to fall between standard detection windows.
They were not invisible. They were unexpected. Commander Aisha watched the first phase unfold. Now, she said. Human ships did not charge, they whispered. Signals bounced between alien fleets, mimicking command codes with small errors. Just enough to create hesitation. Just enough to break trust between ship and system. An alien destroyer hesitated to fire, waiting for confirmation. That never came. Another ship filled the gap, slightly out of position. Then a human weapon struck. Not the ship, the link between ships. A burst of focused energy centered command synchronization across an entire sector. Alien vessels still floated, still armed, but suddenly, alone. Confusion spread faster than panic. At the alien capital, alarms finally sounded. The Queen stood abruptly. Report. Our fleets near Earth are experiencing widespread coordination failures, an officer said. We are not under direct attack, but control efficiency has dropped by 40%. 40, the Queen repeated sharply, and increasing. Her claws tightened against the arm of her throne. Find the source. We cannot, the officer admitted. The interference adapts to every countermeasure. The Queen stared at the projection of Earth. Still dark. Still silent. She felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. On Earth's surface, deep beneath ruined cities, human command centers activated long-dormant transmitters. The planet itself joined the network, acting as a massive relay. Earth was not attacking. It was coordinating. Humanity moved as a single mind spread across broken worlds. Elias watched from his ship as alien fleets slowly lost their perfect formation.
They're hesitating,
He said quietly. Aisha nodded. They were never taught how to fight without certainty. Alien commanders demanded clarity. Their systems failed to give it. Human ships struck isolated targets, disabling engines, weapons, and communication arrays. No cities burned, no civilians were harmed. The message was clear. This was not revenge. This was correction. At the alien capital, the Queen demanded answers.
Why are they not attacking Earth? She asked.
An advisor spoke softly.
because they don't need to.
The Queen's eyes widened slightly.
They are dismantling our control,
the advisor continued. Not our fleets. If this continues, our empire's reach will collapse without a single decisive battle. The Queen felt anger rise. Then respond with force. We are trying, the general said, but every order we issue arrives too late or goes to the wrong unit. For the first time in her long reign, the Queen felt the ground shift beneath her throne. In deep space, human ships regrouped smoothly, adapting to alien responses faster than they could react. They're learning, an officer said in awe. Aisha allowed herself a small smile. So are we.
but we've been practicing longer.
Elias transmitted a single message, encoded and directed straight to the alien capital. It was not a threat. It was a statement. We are still here. The message reached the Queen's chamber. She stared at it in silence. The cycle was nearly over. She had expected a plea. Instead, she was watching her empire struggle to understand an enemy that refused to fight the way it should.
Bring the human envoy back, she ordered suddenly. The advisors froze.
Your Majesty, I will speak with him again, the Queen said. Now. Elias received the summons moments later. He looked at the stars, then straightened. They're ready to listen. Aisha let his gaze. Be careful! He nodded. They underestimated the wrong thing. As his ship moved toward the alien capital once more, the galaxy held its breath. The Queen had said this was humanity's last chance. But now, for the first time, she wondered if it was hers instead. The human ship returned to the alien capital without resistance. This time, no escort surrounded it. Alien fleets were too busy restoring order, too busy trying to understand what had gone wrong. The capital station itself remained calm on the surface, but inside, tension spread like a silent storm. Elias Carter walked the long corridor toward the throne chamber once more. The guards watched him carefully now.
Their weapons were ready, but their confidence was gone. Some avoided his eyes.
When the doors opened, the chamber felt different. The alien nobles were no longer relaxed. They stood in tight groups, voices low, movements sharp. Data projections hovered everywhere, showing fleet disruptions, command failures, and scattered formations across the empire. The Queen sat on her throne, tall and composed, but Elias noticed the change immediately. Her posture was rigid. Her claws gripped the armrests. Human, she said as he approached.
You return quickly.
You asked, Elias replied calmly. She studied him in silence. What you are doing, she said at last, must stop. Elias stopped at the same mark as before. We have not attacked your worlds. You have crippled my fleets, the Queen said sharply. We disabled your control, Elias answered. There is a difference. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Queen rose slowly. You defy me after I showed you mercy. Elias met her gaze. You showed us A cage. Anger flashed in her eyes. You should be begging for survival. Elias shook his head. Survival without freedom is not living. The queen stepped down from her throne, descending until she stood closer to him than before. She was still taller, still powerful, but the distance between them had changed.
You believe you have power now, she said, but you cannot win.
Your species is exhausted.
We are, Elias agreed.
That is why we stopped trying to win your way.
Explain. Elias took a slow breath. Your empire is built on control.
Perfect systems. Central command. Every ship connected, every world obedient.
Yes, the queen said proudly. Humans do not work that way, Elias continued.
We fail too often. We argue.
We break things, so we learned how to function without perfection.
One of the queen's advisors stepped forward. Your tactics are temporary.
We will adapt. Elias looked at him. So will we. The advisor fell silent. The queen turned back to Elias. You are forcing chaos into my empire. No, Elias said gently. Chaos was already there. We're just not hiding it. For a long moment, the queen said nothing. Around them, the chamber buzzed with nervous energy. What do you want? She asked, finally. Elias did not hesitate. Recognition. The word echoed strangely.
Recognition, the queen repeated. After everything you have done?
After everything we endured, Elias replied. We want to exist without being owned, without being erased when convenient. The queen laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. You ask for equality with an empire that spans the galaxy. We ask for the right to choose our future, Elias said. The same right you claimed when you built this empire. The queen's expression hardened. I built this empire through strength, and you kept it through fear, Elias replied. Humans learned something else. And what is that? She demanded.
That fear is unstable, Elias said. Respect lasts longer. The words settled heavily.
At that moment, an urgent message appeared in the air beside the queen. Your Majesty, an officer said, his voice tense.
Several Lied systems are requesting clarification. They are experiencing similar disruptions.
The queen turned sharply. What? They believe your control is weakening, the officer continued.
Some are questioning their treaties.
A ripple of shock passed through the nobles. Elias remained silent. The queen looked back at him slowly. You planned this. We prepared for it, Elias said.
We did not force anyone to doubt you. She stared at him, realization dawning. You are not conquering.
You are exposing?
Yes, Elias said. You taught the galaxy that resistance is useless.
We are showing them another truth. Her voice dropped.
That empires fall when they rely too much on certainty. Elias nodded once. For the first time, the queen looked tired. She returned to her throne and sat heavily. If I destroy Earth now, she said, this ends. Elias's heart tightened, but his voice stayed steady. You could, and the galaxy would fear me again, she continued. For a while, Elias said. Then they would ask why you were afraid enough to do it. Silence followed. The queen closed her eyes briefly. You have placed me in an impossible position, she said quietly. Elias did not respond. You threaten my authority without firing a single shot, she continued. You damage my empire while claiming peace. We learned restraint from losing, Elias said. We learned that power without control destroys itself. She opened her eyes and looked directly at him. You speak as if you are already equal. Elias met her gaze. We are not equal in strength, but we are equal in will. More systems questioning, more fleets struggling. The Queen exhaled slowly. If I accept your terms, she said, my empire changes forever. Yes, Elias replied.
So does the galaxy. And if I refuse? Elias paused. Then this continues.
No final battle. No glorious victory.
Just erosion. The Queen's claws dug into the throne.
She had ruled through dominance for centuries. Every threat had been crushed directly. This was different. This enemy refused to give her a clear target. She looked at her court, at the nobles who now avoided her eyes. She looked at the data, at the cracks spreading outward. Finally, she looked back at Elias. You are dangerous, she said softly. Elias inclined his head. So are you. A strange silence filled the chamber. The Queen stood again. I will address the galaxy. Shock rippled through the room. Elias remained still. I will not announce surrender, she said.
Nor will I announce conquest.
She stepped forward, her voice steady but changed.
I will announce negotiation.
Some nobles cried out in protest. The Queen raised her hand.
Enough.
She turned to Elias.
This is not mercy. This is survival.
Elias nodded. That is all we asked. As the Queen moved toward the chamber's broadcast platform, the galaxy held its breath. Human fleets maintained their quiet pressure, ready but restrained. Elias stood alone in the throne chamber, watching an empire confront the truth it had avoided for generations. Power could break worlds, but patience could reshape them. And for the first time since the war began, humanity was no longer begging to exist. They were being heard. The galaxy waited as the alien queen prepared to speak. The throne chamber was unusually quiet. The nobles and advisors who had once exuded confidence now shifted nervously. The queen's eyes, golden and sharp as ever, swept across the room, settling briefly on Elias Carter. You have forced me into a situation I never imagined, she said, her voice strong but controlled. Humans, you have shown me that survival is not always about power. It is about choice, resilience, and understanding. Elias remained calm, his posture straight. He did not bow. He had learned that humility could be shown without submission. The Queen paused, letting the weight of her words fill the chamber. The broadcast platform flickered to life. Across countless star systems, signals reached alien fleets and planetary governors alike. The Queen's voice echoed everywhere, calm but commanding. Today, humanity will no longer be considered a species to dominate or a race. They are not my subjects. They are not my enemies. Unless they choose otherwise, they are a people to be respected as equals. Gasps and murmurs spread across her court. Some nobles whispered in disbelief. Allied species sent messages of shock and uncertainty back to their capitals. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted in a single announcement.
Elias's communicator beeped softly. Commander Aisha Rahman's face appeared on the screen.
It worked, she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly with relief. They're listening. They are hearing, Elias corrected.
But more importantly, they are understanding. In the alien fleets surrounding Earth, confusion turned into hesitation. Ships that had once operated with mechanical precision now paused, unsure of whether to obey old commands or wait for new instructions. Alien commanders were forced to reconsider everything. Humanity had not fired a single shot in open battle, yet the Empire trembled before them. The Queen returned to her throne, eyes heavy with the realization of what she had done and what she had allowed. She had assumed power could bend humans into submission. She had assumed fear would hold them. She was wrong. They had taught her that strength alone does not define the future.
You may remain free, she told Elias when the broadcast ended, her voice quieter now, almost reflective.
But know this, freedom is not easily maintained. You will be tested again.
You will be watched. I will not ignore threats to the balance of the galaxy.
Elias inclined his head. We understand, but freedom is worth defending, and we are ready. A small smile appeared on the Queen's lips, a rare expression of something akin to respect. Perhaps that is what makes your species remarkable. Across the galaxy, humans began emerging from hidden stations, damaged ships, and scattered colonies. They were not a fleet of invincible warriors. They were broken, battered, and exhausted. But they were alive. And now, they were recognized. On Earth, children looked up at the sky, unaware of the battles and maneuvers occurring in distant space. Survivors stepped out from shelters, gathering in small groups, cautious but hopeful. The planet had survived not through conquest or destruction, but through resilience, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender its spirit. Commander Aisha Rahman watched the news feeds from hidden control rooms, the systems they had activated, the contingency plans they had carefully prepared. All had worked. Humanity had achieved something the galaxy never expected: survival on its own terms.
Do you think the Queen will truly respect our people? An officer asked quietly, still nervous after weeks of war. Aisha shook her head with a small, confident smile.
Respect is earned, not given. She will watch us. But she has seen something no one else has: the truth about humans. That is more than enough for now. Elias returned to his ship, walking among his crew. Some were engineers who had patched vessels together from debris. Some were young soldiers who had survived impossible odds. Each of them carried the weight of loss, but also the spark of hope.
We did not win through weapons, Elias said softly.
We won through understanding, through patience, through endurance. The galaxy thought we were weak. They were wrong. A young pilot stepped forward. But what happens next? Won't the Queen's empire try to contain us again? Perhaps, Elias said, looking out at the distant stars. But now they know that humans are not so easily controlled. That is the lesson, and we will carry it with us wherever we go. Back in the alien capital, the Queen sat alone after her council had dispersed. The throne room was quiet once more. She stared at the data projections, at the fleet she commanded, and at the humans she had once thought broken.
They are persistent, she murmured to herself. And yet...
Not just persistence. There is wisdom in them, a kind of strength I did not expect. She leaned back, reflecting on the war and its outcome. The galaxy had shifted, not by conquest or force, but by the defiance of one species that refused to be erased. That refusal had forced even her to acknowledge the limits of power and the importance of choice. Elias returned to Earth after the cycle ended. The planet's surface was scarred, but humanity was whole in spirit. Governments re-established contact, colonies rebuilt, and survivors shared their stories. The people of Earth did not celebrate with fireworks or parades. They had learned the cost of survival was often quiet resilience and careful planning. Elias walked along a beach, watching waves crash against the shore. He thought of the Queen, of the galaxy, and of the future. Humanity had survived its darkest hour not through domination, but through refusal to surrender its dignity. That lesson would carry them far beyond the stars. In the days that followed, humans and aliens began tentative communications. The Queen's empire withdrew its fleets from Earth's orbit, leaving a small envoy to maintain observation and dialogue. Humanity was no longer a target for conquest, but a recognized species of the galaxy, capable of negotiation and respect. At a hidden human command center, Commander Aisha Rahman smiled for the first time in weeks. She turned to her team. "We have done what everyone said we could not. We have survived, and we have been heard. Remember this feeling. It will guide us for the rest of our lives." Elias looked at the stars, knowing that the galaxy had changed forever. Humans had faced annihilation, and yet they had emerged not just alive, but respected. They had proven what no one had ever believed, that humanity's strength was not in weapons, not in fleets, not in raw power, but in courage, intelligence, endurance, and the refusal to surrender their freedom. The alien queen, too, watched from her throne world, silent and contemplative. She had faced the species she had once thought weak, and she had learned that fear and control were not always enough. Humans had taught her that a species could survive through ingenuity, patience, and the sheer will to endure. And so the galaxy shifted, quietly, irreversibly. Humans returned to their homeworld, battered but unbroken. Other species began to reconsider their assumptions. The Queen's empire continued to exist, but a new respect had been planted across the stars. Humanity had survived its last chance. But more than survival, they had claimed something far greater: acknowledgement. The galaxy could no longer dismiss them. They were here, they were human, and they would remain. Free, unbowed, and ready for whatever the universe might bring next. Elias Carter stood on Earth, looking at the stars. He smiled faintly, knowing that victory had not been easy, but it had been theirs. The human spirit, tested to its limits, had endured, and that endurance was far more powerful than any weapon the galaxy could wield. The future was uncertain, full of challenges and unknown threats, but humanity had learned a lesson that no empire could erase. Freedom, resilience, and choice were stronger than fear, and a species that refused to surrender could change the course of the galaxy itself. For the first time in generations, humans felt the stars not as a battlefield, but as a horizon of possibilities, and they would reach for it, together, unafraid and unstoppable in spirit. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of humanity, not through conquest, but through will. And that was a story no force, no empire, and no queen could ever undo.